During our town hall today, you threw out a date where you think America can be working again, and that's Easter Sunday.
Yeah.
That's 19 days from now. How did you come up with that day?
Well, it's 19 days, but add another 7 because we've been doing this now for 7. So that's from the time we heard about it.
7 to 9.
From the time so from the time we close it up. So you could add 7 to 9. Look, Easter's a very special day for me. And I see it sort of in that timeline that I'm thinking about. And I say, wouldn't it be great to have all of the churches full? You know, the churches aren't allowed, essentially, to have much of a congregation there. And most of them, I watched on Sunday online. And he was terrific, by the way. But online is never going to be like being there. So I think Easter Sunday, and you'll have packed churches all over our country. I think it would be a beautiful time. And it's just about the timeline that I think is right. It gives us more chance to work on what we're doing. And I'm not sure that's going to be the day, but I would love to aim it right at Easter.
When everything we're doing. Who suggested that?
I just thought it was a beautiful time. To be a beautiful time, a beautiful timeline.
Now, I don't know who needs to hear this, but predicating the conclusion of life-saving measures on what Trump thinks are, quote, beautiful holidays is unequivocally not what this country needs right now. And yet that's just further proof that to Donald Trump, this isn't a human issue, it's a political issue. Because why else would the guy choose the date of Easter to arbitrarily end the life-saving guidelines put in place around the world, if not to both pander to his Christian base and to juice the economy regardless of the human toll? Because to be clear, if this does in fact go into effect, if the president decrees that social distancing is no longer necessary and Republican governors inevitably follow suit and Fox News starts telling their viewers that they should go outside and start kissing their friends and neighbors again, people will unquestionably die as a result. It's not a maybe, it's a guarantee. The only way to beat this, other than large-scale testing, which clearly isn't going to happen, is to flatten the curve by keeping distance between each other and containing the spread. That's it. In the countries where that's been implemented, they've overcome it. Countries like Japan, Hong Kong, Singapore, and South Korea. And where it's not effectively implemented, like here in the United States, we're seeing spikes in the rates of contraction. The United States now has the steepest curve in the world. That's not an accident, it is the direct result of weak and unclear guidance from the federal government. What we need then is social distancing. So when that strategy is reversed before the curve has been flattened, the rate of infection will continue to spike. And while that might not be rocket science, it is clearly political. And that's because Trump has already decided that whatever deaths come from this are an acceptable alternative to losing his precious economy that he desperately needs heading into the next election. The economy is all he has left. So without that to wield as a talking point from now until November, Trump knows his chances at re-election are slim, which is why he gave it all of 5 minutes, all the while with zero clear federal guidance, failed to contain the virus, called it a success anyway, and then signaled that it's time to go back to work.
Let's go to work. Our country wasn't built to be shut down. This is not a country that was built for this. It was not built to be shut down. We have a very active flu season, more active than most. It's looking like it's heading to 50,000 or more deaths, not cases, 50,000 deaths, which is, that's a lot. And you look at automobile accidents, which are far greater than any numbers we're talking about. That doesn't mean we're going to tell everybody no more driving of cars. So we have to do things to get our country open.
And this was immediately echoed by other Republicans who are happy to fall in line and carry water for the president. Like the Republican Lieutenant Governor of Texas, Dan Patrick, who literally suggested on air that America's senior citizens need to be willing to die so that we can get the economy going again.
Tucker, no one reached out to me and said, as a senior citizen, are you willing to take a chance on your survival in exchange for keeping the America that all America loves for your children and grandchildren? And if that's the exchange, I'm all in. And that doesn't make me noble or brave or anything like that. I just think there are lots of grandparents out there in this country, like me, I have 6 grandchildren, that what we all care about and what we love more than anything are those children. And I want to live smart and see through this, but I don't want the whole country to be sacrificed. And that's what I see. I've talked to hundreds of people, Tucker, and just in the last week, and making calls all the time. And everyone says pretty much the same thing, that we can't lose our whole country. We're having an economic collapse. I'm also a small businessman. I understand it. And I talk with business people all the time, Tucker. And my heart is lifted tonight by what I heard the president say, because we can do more than, one thing at a time. We can do two things. So, my message is that let's get back to work. Let's get back to living. Let's be smart about it. And those of us who are 70 plus, we'll take care of ourselves, but don't sacrifice the country. Don't do that. Don't ruin this great American dream.
You're basically saying that this disease could take your life, but that's not the scariest thing to you. There's something that would be worse than dying.
Yeah.
So in case you were wondering what the GOP would be willing to sacrifice to help Trump, the answer is apparently our grandparents. So instead of coming out and declaring that Americans should be back to normal by Easter, maybe we wait and see what tomorrow looks like. Maybe we follow the data instead of political conveniences. Maybe we don't suggest, quote, packing the churches when doing so might be a death sentence for those people. I get that Trump isn't gonna let an opportunity to pander to his base pass him by, but if he actually cared about the people that he's pandering to, the people he's promising will be able to pack into their churches, he'd be less concerned about giving them some arbitrary end date and more concerned about taking whatever time is necessary to make sure that those people don't contract a lethal virus. The simple truth is that we don't need arbitrary end dates. We don't need flowery sound bites. We don't need to abide by the Christian holiday calendar. We need facts. We need honesty. We need expert advice. And we need clear guidance, none of which we're getting right now. And while those things might not sound as good, they're more important in terms of keeping people alive. Because despite what we're seeing from this White House, that should be our sole priority.